Taiwan is bursting with heaps of fun places to explore. Join me, Amber Hatfield, as I hit up travel hotspots, soak up some culture, and hunt down hidden gems. Let's go! Hi and welcome back to Let's Go. I'm your host Amber Hatfield, and in today's episode I am going to be talking again with Sarah Chau. Last week we discussed about her trip to Japan, and we talked a lot about her trips to Mount Fuji and seeing Mount Fuji with the snow cap on it. Now it's the winter. We're also going to be talking a little bit about her experiences of eating in Japan, how she liked the food, also about going to Disneyland, Tokyo Sea. And so we began our discussion talking about Japanese food and what kind of food she ate while she was there. Have you got any other highlights of things that you did while you were there?
So we went to the ramen place that my friend recommended, and she's a local Japanese. And we were thinking, like, what kind of ramen is this? Because it looked really red. So we were thinking it's like really spicy ramen, because I can see like people wearing bibs and like getting red and like drinking lots of water and had a lot of tissues. We were kind of like because we couldn't read the menu. Number one, we couldn't read the menu. When we went down, it's kind of like in a B1 area. We had no service. And so we were like, I don't know how to order. There's just a machine. And so we saw a machine that says like 3, 5, 6, 7. So we thought, hey, this is the spiciness. Like, let's just get number 3. And so we got number 3. And then like, I was just thinking like, I don't even know what's on the ramen, but like, let's just eat it. So we got the ramen. The taste was interesting. Like, it's just nothing I've ever tasted before. It's like
what kind of flavor?
The broth, to me, the broth had like a nutty flavor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was interesting to me. It was just not what I expected. And I feel like we also didn't do all the add-ons like the egg or like maybe the seaweed or different things that I would have loved to add it on. I saw other people, they were eating like the natto. Do you know natto?
I don't know that.
It's like sticky beans or something. They put it in. That's interesting to me. And then they had like this like red like sauce that they would order that looked like kind of like a curry paste or something, and they would put it over rice. Ooh. Which is interesting, right? Ramen with rice. Yeah. But we didn't know like how to do anything, and like once you sit down you can't order again. So we just ate it to eat it. It was interesting because they had a lot of cabbage in the ramen.
It's always strange. I always think this when I go somewhere and if I don't speak the language and I'm ordering food and then I don't know what's like the best thing to order, or if someone doesn't speak English in the restaurant and they can't really help you and you just kind of order whatever off the menu and just kind of deal with it because you're hungry. But then sometimes I'll talk to people afterwards and they'll say, oh, did you have this at this place? And I'm like, I wish I'd known which thing to get, but it's just so hard when you don't speak and like you can't really get access to the information of like what you're supposed to eat or like what you're supposed to do. And you can feel so stupid too, like trying to figure out what am I supposed to do with this food, or like how am I supposed to do this, how am I supposed to eat this. It's a little bit overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, and you don't want to be like troublesome to them. I finally, like when we sat down, there was Wi-Fi password, and then for me I was not really feeling the ramen, so I was like, okay, let's go to the next place. So I like found this sushi that was like 100 meters. We like walked and luckily we went there, and they were doing, I think it was an hour till closing, and we sat down. There was an English menu and we ordered, and that was the best sushi ever. Oh, yeah. So it seemed like all the locals were there too. And so we just had a lot of like, there's the tuna, the fatty tuna. They have this interesting like wasabi roll. Okay. Also, it's like they put wasabi and it's rice and then wrapped in seaweed, and they cut into little rolls. And they were like, oh, you have to watch out because it's really spicy. And for me, I like wasabi, but it makes me sneeze. And so for my fiance, he likes it a lot and it's fine for him. So when we both ate it, I squirmed a little, but it was good. And then when he did it, he was fine. But there was just a bunch of different rolls like amberjack, and then the raw fish was really good. They give it to you in pairs, and they do one, like, let's say they put one with soy sauce, the next one they salt it. So each one comes in different like ways they give it to you in different ways. Yeah, so it was good. Oh, and also we ordered sake because my fiance wanted to try it there, and it was really I guess it's like really special because it comes from Japan.
Yeah.
So the price was just really good.
Yeah. I like sake because it's like it's warm, right? So
Yes.
you have like hot sake and it's like really...
Actually, ours was cold though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had
So
iced
whenever
one.
I go to a Japanese restaurant or a Japanese place, and even sometimes just at home, I will buy sake and heat it up, and then you put it in a little cup and drink it warm, and it's kind of heartwarming and cozy. I like to drink sake.
Yeah, and there was also green tea, but I really wanted to drink it, but if I drink green tea, I wouldn't be able to sleep. So I just look at everybody else, I'm like, how do you guys drink green tea this late? Like, a lot of people like can take caffeine and they're okay, but for me, I would just stay up all night.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sushi, it was really good. We had a lot of different sushis where we're like super full, and it only came up to like $50, and that's like rather cheap.
Yeah.
For fresh sushi.
And for 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good price. Let's talk a little bit more about other things that you did, like big kind of highlights of the trip. So maybe some places that you visited or...
So the next day I was looking forward to Disney. This is my Disney time. So when I first came to Japan in 2018, I actually went to Disneyland by myself.
Okay.
So I chose Disneyland because I love the castle and everything at that time. And my cousin was like anti-Disney, so she's like, I'm not gonna go. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go by myself. So I went by myself, and it was funny because every time I asked somebody to take a picture, they were like waiting for like the other person. They're like, and I'm like, oh no, it's just me. I was like, no,
so cute.
I know. I was like, yeah, that's just me. And I just took advantage of the single rider lines.
Okay.
At that time, I felt like there were like a lot of single rider lines, but this time I felt like there wasn't a lot.
Okay.
So basically, Disneyland opens at 9 a.m. And so I woke up around 6:45. We got ready at 7 and we headed out. And then we officially got to Disneyland at like 8:30 a.m. And so when we're on the tram, and there's like a shaped Mickey Mouse window, and at the tram, when the tram is moving and we finally hit Tokyo Sea, because I decided to go to Tokyo Sea since I went to Disneyland already. And so when we hit Tokyo Sea, we saw a massive line. Yeah. So we were thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to have to wait in line forever. And prior to that, everybody, I think, probably waited in line for an hour or 2. Yeah.
You mean just to get into the park?
Just to get into the park. Yeah. It's really popular right now, I think, because Fantasyland just opened, and Fantasyland is like there's a new Frozen ride, Tango area, and Peter Pan. So I think that's why it was busy, but actually, to be honest, when we were looking around, everyone was local.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, like on a Sunday, I thought that it would be less busy, and I kind of assumed that it would be like maybe a lot of foreigners and stuff, but honestly it was just all locals. So I was really excited to get in, but I was like also stressed out because I was like, I need to get in, I need to get those like Fantasyland tickets, and everything they do is digital through the app.
Okay.
But there wasn't any service. We waited in line about 40 minutes.
Okay.
And so when we finally got in, I was like telling my fiance, you try to get the standby tickets and I get the premier access tickets. So standby tickets are basically, if you get the ticket, it's free. But if for the premier access, you have to pay for it. So basically, you have to pay to get in to see this like Fantasyland area. And right now they restrict it. So you can only go in if you have either the standby or the premier access line.
Did you get in?
I had no service whatsoever. There's like a big globe, and once you walk in, on the right of the globe, there's a customer service area. And I just decided I'm going to go in there because it seems like people are like going in there for some reason. So when I went there, I realized all the foreigners are there. And then there's a line for that they will help you buy the tickets for the Fantasyland.
Oh.
So I wanted to go to the Tangled one. And so they said, okay, we have 2 tickets at 1 p.m. I said, okay, yes. So I was able to purchase it, and I believe it's like $25 US dollars. So finally we got those tickets, and then after that we started to explore Disneyland. And this is my first time at Tokyo Sea, so of course it's very exciting for me because I'm a really big Disney fan, and I love Disney so much. But when I went, I realized everywhere you go is just a big line, and like it's not just the rides, it's like the food, the stores. It was a ridiculous line.
So it just really ruins the experience, I guess.
Yeah, it really did, because just to even get like a churro, it took like 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. I just realized I always thought Taiwanese like to line up. Now I know Japan, Japanese people really like to line up.
Right, okay.
And then the ride waits are like 200 minutes, 150 minutes, 90 minutes.
So how many rides did you get to go on?
Just 4.
Okay.
And we paid for each of them.
Oh, so you have to pay for all of the rides separately as well?
Before it was free. Now you just on the app, you can pay for them. So we decided to just pay for it because we did not want to wait 150 minutes.
Oh, okay. So if you pay for this Lightning Pass on the app, then you get to basically jump the queue?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically it's called a Premier Access Pass. So you buy that, and then they give you a certain time you can go back and you can enter. So you enter during that time, and then you kind of have to line up still, but it's not that long.
Okay.
And so then you finally get to ride the ride. So we only rode 4 rides altogether. And so we ended up heading out. But at Disneyland, the Tangled ride was really really pretty, but it's hard for me to connect with it because the song is in Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah. So I realized I'm more comfortable. I feel like the Disney experience is more touching for me when it's in English.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I heard the song, All the Lights, but it was in Japanese. So I was like,
it's not quite the same.
It's just not the same. Yeah.
I see.
So prior to this Japan trip, I've been seeing all these smoothies being made at 7-Eleven. And so every time I see a 7-Eleven, I would walk in to see if they had that smoothie machine. And they didn't have it. And so on the last day, I finally found it at a 7-Eleven. And so it's really cool. They have it's basically like a cup with frozen fruit. And you take that cup and put it into the machine. You watch it, they take the top off, they put water in it, and then it blends for you. So it's just a really cool experience. I was like, I wish that this was in every 7-Eleven in even in Taiwan. I really wish that. Yeah.
So it's like you take the cup with all the fruit out of the fridge by yourself, and then it's just all automated.
Exactly like
cool.
that. Yeah. So it was really cool and really yummy. So I felt like it's also healthy. So
yeah.
And refreshing. Other than that, the last day, we just went shopping. We spent the last time shopping, and then we headed back to the airport.
Okay.
And at the airport, our flight got delayed, so we ate at the food court. But I'm so glad because we were able to eat really good soba noodles. And these soba noodles were really cool because they gave you fresh wasabi to grate by yourself.
Oh.
They have a little grater, and then you just doing the fresh wasabi and grating it, and you realize, wow, that's actually a lot of hard work because when you grate it, wasabi doesn't come out a lot.
It's really funny that you say about grating the wasabi because I've never really thought about where wasabi comes from. So what is it that you're actually grating? What does it look like?
Root. It's wasabi is like a root.
Almost looks like ginger or turmeric or something?
Yeah, exactly like that. And so
okay.
you're grating it down.
And is it green?
Inside is green, outside is brown, like a root. Just think of ginger type of thing.
Interesting.
I know, I didn't know. I just feel wow, after doing it by myself, that's a lot of hard work to actually make it into wasabi. But now I know how fresh wasabi looks compared to the other different wasabi that you get from eating at different sushi places.
Yeah. Cool. So if you could kind of round up your trip and just say what were your kind of top 3 things while you were there, what would you say?
I would say Mount Fuji, the sushi, and the wasabi. I would say, honestly, if you were to go to Disneyland, for me, my preference is to, I like Disneyland over Tokyo Sea.
Okay.
Between those two, I think I just like the castle and, the just Disney vibe to it. And then Mount Fuji is a must-see. If for me, I think for me, like during the snow cap time, like if the snow's on there and with the autumn leaves, I think that it would be worth it to go. There's a lot to do in Japan, like the Studio Ghibli or like Harry Potter and like all of these different cool things that we didn't get to do.
Japan is really quite a lot bigger than Taiwan when you think about it, right? So if you're in Tokyo, it does take a lot more time to get from place to place than it would in, say, Taipei.
Yeah, and they have like a lot of different lines, so it can get confusing for... it does get confusing. But a tip is, if you have an iPhone, you don't have to get the Suica card, which is their transit card, is you go onto the wallet section of your iPhone, and then on the top right, there's a plus sign, and then do transit card, and then find it on there. So you don't have to get the physical card. So that's a tip. Japan is a really cool place to go to.
Yeah.
And I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I would love to go again. I'll have to go again. The last time I went to Japan was probably, I think, in 2017. I went there with my mum. And we did like a little trip from Kyoto and Tokyo and what's the other one? Osaka. Yeah. We did like a kind of little 3. We also went snowboarding. I took my mum snowboarding because it was the first time I'd been snowboarding. I went skiing as a teenager and I really wanted to try snowboarding and I'd never done it before. So we went up into the mountains and we found this place. And she got skis and I got a snowboard and we just went up to the top of the mountain. And I was like, let's just do it. And she did well. I mean, she was like on the top of the mountain on these skis that she didn't know how to use.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, when I went skiing for the first time and that was the only time, I also didn't know how to do it. I was like, let's just go skiing.
Yeah.
So you kind of like rent it and you just ski. And like, I know the feeling because when you just want to stop, I just fall down because I'm like, it's either you fall down or you die.
Yeah. So she was just going and she was like, Amber, I don't like this. She's like, well, you've got to get down the mountain now. What are you going to do? So you just got to keep going. But I actually really enjoyed the snowboarding. It was really fun. I would love to go back to Japan. I've always wanted to go to Hokkaido as well. Yeah, it would be really nice to go to Hokkaido in the winter and the snow and like do some skiing or something there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people go to Hokkaido right now because that's the ski and snowboard hub right now. So yeah, I would love to go again too.
Thank you for sharing about your trip. It was nice to hear everything that you did.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sarah. That's all we've got time for this week's episode of Let's Go. I hope you enjoyed hearing about personal experiences of travel in Japan, food and Tokyo Sea. And I'll see you in another episode next week. Bye for now.